Has turned back firefighters as Inferno guts Alaba markets. APC governors endorse Akpabio for Senate president. Ike Ekweremadu, wife jailed in UK for organ trafficking. At least 20 properties in the United Kingdom linked to Nigeria's president-elect and his associates. And on stories outside the shores of Nigeria, WHO says COVID global health emergency is over. Details now. The World News at 6 begins with the Court of Appeal in Abuja upholding the conviction and 8-year sentence imposed on the former chairman of the Pension Reform Task Team, Abdulrasheed Maina, for laundering about 2.1 billion naira. In a judgment today, a 3-member panel of the court unanimously affirmed the November 8, 2021 judgment given by Justice Okon Abang of the Federal High Court, Abuja, convicting and sentencing Maina. Justice Elfreda Williams-Daudu in the lead judgment also affirmed the various interlocutory rulings delivered in the course of the trial at the Federal High Court, which Maina appealed against. Justice Williams-Daudu, who resolved the two issues identified for determination against Maina, held that he was not denied fair hearing by the trial court and that the prosecution proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. Meanwhile, goods worth millions have been destroyed after fire raised the popular Alaba International Market in the Ojo area of Lagos State. The fire, VOP News gathered, started this morning from a shop where gas cylinders were stored before spreading to other parts of the market. The traders reportedly resorted to self-help to put out the fire before the arrival of emergency responders. A statement by the director of the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Margaret Adeshoye, informed the incident had degenerated into a security situation as officials of the agency were unable to gain access into the market. Now, the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, has announced that governors of the ruling All Progressives Congress have resolved to zone the next Senate president to the South-South geopolitical region of the country. The governors under the umbrella of the Progressive Governors Forum had earlier recommended that the Senate president should be zoned to either Southeast or South-South regions. They also proposed that the position of Majority Leader, Deputy Majority Leader, and Chief Whip should be used as compensation for those that may be asked to step down from running from the 4 presiding officers' position. But in a video circulating on the internet by the African Independent Television, Mr. Ganduje affirmed that the APC governors have decided to support former governor of Akwa Ibom, Godswill Akpabio, who is from the South-South. The video showed that Mr. Ganduje and some of his governor colleagues, including Ben Ayade of Cross River State, were in a meeting with some individuals. Mr. Ganduje assured that nothing will change the plan of the zoning formula the governors had proposed for the party. Mr. Akpabio and Osita Izunaso, who is from Imo State, are the candidates jostling for the ticket of the Senate president from South-South and Southeast geopolitical zones. Messrs. Akpabio and Izunaso have previously spent one term of 4 years in the Senate. They have also visited President Muhammadu Buhari to allegedly persuade the president to facilitate the zoning to their region. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has sentenced former Deputy Senate President of Nigeria, Ike Ekweremadu, to 9 years and 8 months in prison for an organ trafficking plot. The court also sentenced his wife, Beatrice, to 4 years, 6 months, while the medical doctor who acted as a middleman in the plot, Dr. Obinna Obeta, was sentenced to 10 years and his medical license was also suspended. In March 2023, the jury found they criminally conspired to bring a 21-year-old Lagos street trader to London to exploit him for his kidney. The young man was said to have falsely presented as Sonia's cousin in a failed bid to persuade doctors to carry out an £80,000 private procedure at the Royal Free Hospital in London. The young man was said to have been offered an illegal reward to become a donor for Sonia after the kidney disease forced her to drop out of a master's degree in film at Newcastle University. Their conviction was the first verdict of its kind under the Modern Slavery Act. The prosecutor, Hugh Davis Casey, had told the court that Ekweremadu and Obeta had treated the man and other potential donors as disposable assets, spare parts for reward. The behavior of Ekweremadu showed entitlement, dishonesty, and hypocrisy, Davis told the jury. Meanwhile, the victim in the center, former Deputy Senate President of Nigeria, Ike Ekweremadu's organ harvesting saga, has said he is not for sale. The victim, who cannot be named because of legal reasons, claimed he was lured to the United Kingdom under the pretense of job opportunity in the country. The victim said this in his impact statement, which was read in court today. In the statement, the victim revealed his humble background in Lagos village, where he said He is the oldest of 7 siblings living in a home without electricity or running water. He was forced to become a street trader full-time, moving to the city to provide for his family when his father fell ill with a heart problem. He sold mobile phone accessories from a wheelbarrow, making at most £7 a day and as little as 50 pence. He said he was approached with an opportunity to work in the United Kingdom, something he had always dreamed of but never thought would happen. However, he said he was shocked to discover the reason for the trip was to harvest his organs to give to Ekweremadu's daughter, Sonia. He said, and I quote, "He did not tell me he brought me here for this reason. He did not tell me anything about this. I would not have agreed to any of this. My body is not for sale." He added that he could not return to Nigeria because he worries for his safety. The victim claimed someone visited his father in Nigeria and asked him to get the victim, his son, to drop the case. "I worry for my safety in Nigeria. Those people can do anything. I think they could arrest me or kill me in Nigeria," he stated. He told the police he did not want to claim compensation from the bad people as it would be cost and bad luck. In order for us to talk a little bit about this, I have Barrister Tunji Abdulmumin right here via the telephone for us to talk about the legality of this procedure and what the jury said about Ekweremadu's attitude, basically the aura that he could read from him exactly, and of course titling it as a modern slavery act, and the response that this victim actually gave, that is, what he was told that he was coming to London to do, another actual thing that was meant to be done to him. Good evening, Barrister. Good evening to the World News at 6 on VOP 90.3 FM.
Good evening, Esther. Good evening, listeners.
All right. You heard what I just read concerning Ekweremadu, concerning his wife and the doctor who served as a middleman and the young man himself, the statement that was read at the London court today. He actually, the jury actually described Ekweremadu as someone who has an aura of entitlement, dishonesty, and hypocrisy. He also said that Ekweremadu had treated the man, that is this particular young man, and other potential donors as disposable assets, spare parts for reward. I need what you have to say concerning this development.
Yeah, what happened to the former Senate president is unfortunate, and it's a lesson that no matter how big you are not above the law. That is what they preach in those areas. And it's unfortunate. I understand the sentiment of being played by some people, because some people will tell you he was just trying to behave like a father who wants to save his daughter or want to do something to keep his daughter alive. Yes, I agree with that. I know that. But there are processes, there are law. So if you want to do things, you have to do it in line with the law. In other words, in law, good intention is not a justification for committing crime. Once you do things that is not in line with the law, no matter how good your intention is, it's a crime as far as law is concerned. Mm-hmm. So it is not for you to say, I saw somebody who's hungry and I don't have money to give him. I decided to go and steal this bread for him to be able to eat. That is a crime as far as law is concerned if you are caught. So the fact that he was trying to do that to save his daughter's life does not make it a justification for it to be. So it's a lesson that we should all do things the way it should be done. It's unfortunate that he's facing this travail, and then he's been sentenced to 10 years in prison. It's an offense that is punishable in that manner in those areas. They don't take it lightly, and they see it as a kind of selfish behavior. In other words, you want to say, okay, if it were to be Nigeria, and just like the jury said, the way they see it is that, look, say we are paying him. It's only selfish, so they will even treat him like as if it's not that's what they are going to pay him. They treat him anyhow. So that's probably what the juries are trying to say. They don't understand the gravity, and unfortunately, he's a lawyer too as well, and a former senator. They are trying to say, look, what we are trying to do is just to save our daughter. We don't know that it's an offense. No, you must know. You must know. A caliber of that, a person of that caliber should be able to know. You'll be able to know you are a lawyer. You are also a former Senate president, deputy Senate president, and you are a member of the National Assembly. Who that makes law. They are responsible to make law. If you don't know the law in UK, you need to have done research and know the law. That look, this is not Nigeria. We are going elsewhere. Find the research to know what the law says regarding what we want to do. If you don't know about it regarding the process. of doing it in those areas. It's a lesson that we need to be doing things the way it should be done. Nobody is above the law, and that is a lesson that has been taught in that judgment in that area. Because if I to be in Nigeria, I doubt if that case would even go to court at all.
Here is also another scenario. The young man in question, the young man himself, who was supposed to be the donor, said he was not aware that this was the position of the Ekweremadus. Remember that the court actually disclosed that Ekweremadu, right? He treated the potential donors as disposable assets, spare parts for reward. Then the judge also said that Ekweremadu showed that aura of entitlement, dishonesty, and hypocrisy. And then, of course, one would also wonder, if you recall, there was a certain time Ekweremadu was in Germany at one certain time, and then he was nearly beaten and his clothes were torn. That was one first instance where we were wondering why would Nigerians there do that, and they complained that a lot of things that were supposed to take place, where he comes from, the community he comes from, there is no development there. There is underdevelopment. The roads are bad. What they are pushing for is not being accepted. Is not being heeded to. And a couple of persons said, okay, so you are being the you are the deputy Senate president, and we're not seeing the impact of the position you occupy in the states that you come from. And so a lot of Igbos or residents or past community members from that area were not happy with, Ike Ekweremadu. Now, this particular young boy said that he's afraid to return home, that it's possible that they could kill him. He said somebody approached his father and told his father to tell his son to drop the case. So right now, the boy said he doesn't want to come home. He doesn't even want anyone to know his whereabouts, that he's afraid for his life. So he says that what he sells is he sells phone accessories, and that he was approached to have a labor in London, to work in London, which a couple of Nigerians will literally want to do once they hear that, oh, we're taking you abroad, you're going to get work there. When they compare pounds to the naira, it's a good money for them. And meanwhile, he said he didn't know that this was what they wanted to do, and that right now they were trying to compensate him to drop the case by giving him money, but he said no, he's not going to take that money because he considers the money to be cursed. So what's your take on this?
Esther, in as much as we don't have a clear evidence regarding all this, the guy has said.
There's no clear evidence. No, he was the verdict has been done today.
Listen. Those people are not Nigerians. I'm in Nigeria. I know what even people who have not faced Ekweremadu issue. They've done affidavit in that regard to say they have been persecuted in their country. They want to kill them. And
so you're saying the boy could be lying?
Asylum.
Okay.
No, it may be. That's what I said. People who are not who have not in the position of this guy. I've seen people who don't have any issue. If in order to get a paper abroad, they will come and do affidavit and say they want to kill me. This and that are happening. This and that. In other words, for them to be able, they will create one scenario that is dangerous or whatever. So I see that as maybe probably what the guy. To me, as in my mind, I don't believe that guy does not know that he was.
That was what he was coming in for. Really?
I don't believe because I can't remember again. I remember there was a letter. Even that said that it was sent to the embassy when they were processing his passport, and he was aware of that. He saw it. He saw everything. So to me, probably when after getting to that UK, probably what he wanted to do, he had a change of mind or afterthought to say, look, I even heard that they said they did not match, and then he knew that the next thing that would be to say, okay, we are taking him back to Nigeria. And probably maybe because it's not much, they don't want to pay him money again. Maybe those are the issues. So he now he wants to stay back in the UK. And that to me, that's those parts you just made, those parts you read out, as far as I'm concerned, are just to back up with a stay in the UK so that they will give him asylum and say, okay, so I have to protect you, so that they won't kill you, so that this and that not happen. Just stay here. I think that's the way I see those parts he has read out. That's where I see it. I don't believe that guy is saying the truth. In that, right. That is not aware. That's my own opinion. That is not aware. I don't believe it. And like I said, I don't believe.
So you're saying that statement could have been made for him.
Ekweremadu did not do his due diligence to know what to do in that circumstance.
So you're saying that a judge making the statement, the jury making the statement about Ekweremadu's entitlement, dishonesty, and then him treating the donors as disposable assets and spare parts could just be them, talking, not necessarily that is the fact.
No, you said the jury talks about Ekweremadu not doing things for his people in this country. Was he here?
No,
Have
no,
you been
no,
here
no,
before?
not the jury saying that. I'm saying the time
The
that he traveled to Germany. There was a time he traveled to Germany, and
Oh, okay.
some
People are
Nigerians, yes,
alleging,
they
making
almost
that
they beat
allegation,
him
those
and they tore
allegations.
his clothes. Yeah, and that was one of the reasons they said that a couple of Nigerian political elites and or public officials come to London and they spend money there, they live large there, but meanwhile they have
Um,
relegated their
uh,
responsibilities at
was
home.
that part of the jury's conclusion,
No, that was not part of the
position?
jury's conclusion. I'm talking about Ekoromado's, would I say whatever has been attached to him pre this particular jury's
Because all these
verdict on
ones are,
him.
if these ones are part of the jury, I would say
No,
jury,
it's not
they
part
are
of the
set
jury's
out of
verdict
his.
on him. No, that's not what the jury is actually saying is that what they could read based on whatever investigation was carried out or the way he responded to questions he was asked in court. They said that he literally exhibited a sense of entitlement and dishonesty and hypocrisy. And they literally said that he treated his donors as spare parts, and he doesn't look like somebody.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That you see, most of the rich men in Nigeria, whenever they deal with you, those who are not rich or who are in need, they want to believe that since in as much as they are paying you money, whatever you want you to do, you must do it. They will not even treat them with respect. They
Okay.
believe that since we are going to pay you for this donation, then you must be under our control and under our, probably that is the arrogance that played out, and that was why he was believing that. And again, sometimes you see in Nigeria, in fact, I see most Nigeria that will say because of the intention that he has a good intention of helping, they will see it as a good excuse to say you have not committed crime. It's not an excuse, like I said earlier on.
All
So we
right.
find that he has a good intention. So probably he's thinking in that manner that look, since what we wanted to do here was to save our child's life, then it may not be a crime for him, or it may be an excuse for them to say, okay, we are leaving you. So maybe he proved arrogant when he was answering questions in court. Maybe
Questions.
I didn't see his countenance. I wasn't there, so I can only rely on what the judge said. So the judgment that they may have seen the countenance, and then they may be. But regarding the guy, like I said, I have my doubt as to whether the guy was not aware.
Do you
that he
think
was going for that
Ekweremadu will
purpose.
actually spend the 10 years? Because you recall about 2 days ago or so, a letter was written to the UK court to show clemency. All right. And they've been trying to, even former President Olusegun Obasanjo has also written on his behalf as well, saying that Ike Ekweremadu was one of the persons that, helped his administration show the form of unity and has been a loyal friend. And do you think that letter did not play any role in, what
He did
was.
not. He didn't play a role. He didn't play much role, if at all he played any, because those letters were written for purpose of today, so that they will get life sentence. In
Yes.
other words, they won't give him much numbers of those numbers of years that he has been given. So, and
Okay.
today he has been given 10 years. So it shows that they didn't even consider that letter. Like I said, I don't see how that letter will be considered in that regard, because we are talking about crime here. We're not talking about. We're not in Nigeria. We're not talking about Nigeria, where people will just think because they are in position, they will just want to be sentiment, and that whatever. Because I see that sentiment, all those things they are saying. And I was also one of those those National Assembly members later they do things by them. I think it's insensitive of them,
All
because we have so many Nigerians abroad who have been facing similar crises in crime. I've not seen them rise up and say we are writing to them to plea on his behalf or whatever.
All right.
Must it be because somebody is a VVIP or is part of the system that you must defend him? Those in government have responsibility on all Nigerians, whether you are big or rich or poor. Their responsibility to protect and secure you is on them. But here in Nigeria, what they do is just only those who are rich and those who are in better position. Those are the people they consider as that need their protection. Because that's all. To me, those National Assembly, no, it's good. I appreciate their concern, but I want to plead with them to also extend this concern to other Nigerians who are also facing similar situation abroad. So in other words, whenever they see anybody facing this similar situation, they should also do the same plea or letter to those country to say, look, please,
okay,
Barrister. Man that has been arrested,
Barrister. I want to ask you another question. This time around is concerning the president-elect, who says to have at least 20 properties in the United Kingdom linked to him and including his associates. Now, Nigeria's president-elect, Bola Tinubu, whose victory in February is being challenged in court, has been keeping part of his wealth in the United Kingdom, where he and his close associates own at least 20 properties that were mostly acquired when Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State. Now, following the 2023 presidential election, Tinubu is scheduled to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari as president on May 29. and his opponents claim the elections have been fixed. The 71-year-old is widely seen as Nigeria's political kingmaker for his role in the elections of several governors in the country's southwest region, as well as the election of President Muhammadu Buhari, who defeated the incumbent in 2015. Now, here is also the scenario. Recall that Bloomberg first reported on Tuesday that Tinubu's son, Oluwaseyi, is a main shareholder of Aranda Overseas Corporation, an offshore company that bought a controversial 10.8 million US dollar UK property in 2017. At the time it was bought, Nigeria was trying to confiscate the London house that belonged to a Nigerian oil dealer who was facing corruption charges at home and in the United States. However, the OCCRP has uncovered more than a dozen other properties with links to Tinubu, mostly acquired while he served as Lagos State Governor from May 1999 to May 2007. However, messages have been sent to his spokespersons and text messages sent for comment. However, none of that has been responded to. And so the question has been around the clarity, would I say, how clean is Tinubu's wealth? You know, he was forced to forfeit $460,000 in the U.S. government in 1993 as proceeds of narcotic trafficking. That's according to a ruling of a U.S. District Court in Illinois. However, a year later, Habib Holding Limited, an offshore company registered in Gibraltar with Tinubu as a beneficial owner, bought flat 9 at 96 to 100 New Cavendish Street in London. And so a lot of these properties are beginning to come up, and it seems to be linked to the president-elect. Now, he is going to be inaugurated on May 29. Questions have arisen from his inauguration. Some opposition have said that the elections were fixed. Some oppositions have alleged the elections were rigged on his behalf. Some oppositions have also alleged that INEC was, adulterated and not sincere because they already had a purpose right from the onset. Seems like they were bought over. Now, these reports coming up concerning his property, the shares that he owns, do we think as a president-elect it is normal for him to have such properties? Is there anything illegal about him acquiring such said alleged properties?
I think all these are still in the realm of allegation.
Yes.
But there has not been any conclusive evidence to ascertain that these properties are his own.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to also reply in form of assuming that they still remain an allegation because Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect of Nigeria, has always been met in a controversy. Exactly. Not even before now. Even immediately after his governorship, before he became a president-elect, or even the governorship candidate of the presidential candidate of the APC. Before he was a governor between 2003. The people have always been saying he is the owner of half of Lagos State or even more. There has been those allegations on ground that almost all the property in Lagos belong to him, this and that. So it appears allegation regarding property ownership is often common to be associated with a.
But the question is it normal? I mean, he was once the former governor of Lagos. No, he ran for 8 years. Is there any crime in him acquiring such? If he has about 20 properties in the UK, is there any crime in it? Him acquiring such properties?
If you have 100 million properties in UK or anywhere in the world, in as much as you can account for the money with which you bought it, or the money is not linked to any. The money is being used to acquire the property and not linked to any corruption or any money belonging to the government. Then I don't see anything illegal in it. And when you become the president-elect or president, you have to declare all these assets. All this in your asset declaration form if you have them. So there's no crime in having a property all over the world or anywhere you want to have, in as much as you can ascertain how those properties were bought and that the money used in buying those properties were not Nigerian money, were not state money, were not local government money, were your personal money, and they are not money linked to any corrupt practice. But that would be difficult because for me, I don't. If you ask me what exactly is the work apart from politics, is the work of our president-elect, I don't know. What business does he have? I don't know. Which company does he have? I don't know. So it will be very difficult for anybody to establish that if it's at a thing that those property actually belong to him, it will be very difficult for anybody to defend that the money used in buying those properties, not to be linked to any money that belongs to the government in this country.
All
But
right.
because it's difficult if you don't know, if you don't have a source of income that is known to people apart from politics, people will insinuate so many things.
All right. Thank
Particularly
you.
when those in government are even under your control.
All right. Thank you, Barrister Tunji, for your input right here on the World News at 6 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thank you. It's
right.
my pleasure.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on stories outside the shores of Nigeria, the World Health Organization has declared that COVID-19 no longer represents a global health emergency. The statement represents a major step towards ending the pandemic and comes 3 years after it first declared its highest level of alert over the virus. Officials said the virus death rate had dropped from a peak of more than 100,000 people per week in January 2021 to just over 3,500 on the 24th of April. The head of the World Health Organization said at least 7 million people died in the pandemic. But Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that the true figure was likely closer to 20 million deaths, nearly 3 times the official estimate, and he warned that the virus remained a significant threat. To wrap up the world news at 6, let's take a look once again at the top stories. You heard that the appeal court has upheld Maynard's 8-year sentence for 2.1 billion naira fraud. Also, traders turned back firefighters as Inferno guts Alaba markets. APC governors endorse Akpabio for Senate president. A.K.A. Koromadi, wife jailed in UK for organ trafficking. At least 20 properties in the UK linked to Nigeria's president-elect and his associates. And on the foreign scene, COVID global health emergency is over, says World Health Organization. That is a wrap on the world news at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Mwachuku. Up next is the Evening Rush with Precious.